Welcome to Banana Ann's True Crime Talks 12 Days of Crimeas. For most of us, Christmas time is a time of love, joy, and laughter. But for a minority, this season has been shattered into something more suited to Halloween. My 12 Days of Crimeas videos will look at cases on or around Christmas that has left an everlasting darkness on what should be the most happiest time of the year. Day 4, when a missing woman in Bristol turns into a murder investigation. The Joanna Yeates case. On the evening of the 17th of December 2010, Joanna Claire Yeates, at 25, spent the evening with work colleagues at Bristol Ram Pub on Park Street, leaving at around 8 p.m. to walk the short 30 minutes home. She had told friends and colleagues that she wasn't looking forward to spending the weekend alone, as it would be the very first in her flat without her partner of roughly 2 years, Greg Reardon, 25. She had planned to spend the weekend baking and planning for the party the couple were having the following week and doing some Christmas shopping. Joanna was seen on CCTV at around 8 p.m, leaving a Waitrose supermarket empty-handed. She phoned her best friend Rebecca Scott at around 8:30 to arrange a catch-up on Christmas Eve. The last known footage of Joanna recorded her buying a pizza from a branch of Tesco Express at around 8:40, and she had also purchased 2 small bottles of cider at a nearby Bargain Booze off licence. On the 19th of December, Greg returned home from a weekend visit to Sheffield at approximately 8 p.m, and Joanna was absent from their flat. He called and texted her, but these went unanswered. It wasn't till he called her again that he found her phone in the coat pocket. Her purse and keys were also found, and it appeared that their cat had not been fed in at least a couple of days. At around midnight, Greg reported her missing. Greg and her family set up a website and used social media to help with their search for Joanna. Public appeals for her safe return began. One on the 21st of December, the other on the 23rd. Her father, David, voiced concerns that perhaps Joanna had been abducted from her home. During a search of the home, the pizza and the packaging were missing. The 2 cider bottles were still there. However, one had been partially consumed. Detectives determined Joanna may have known her abductor, as there was no signs of struggles or forced entry. On Christmas Day, a couple walking their dogs found a fully clothed Joanna frozen and dead and curled up on her side. She was found along Longwood Lane near a golf course next to the entrance of a quarry in Fairland, approximately 3 miles from her home. Due to the frozen conditions of her body and needing to be identified, the post-mortem would not begin on the 26th of December, and this would deem tricky too, and it would not be until December 28th that pathologists determined this was now a murder case. Joanna had been strangled. There had been no evidence of sexual assault, and she hadn't eaten the pizza earlier. Greg was cleared as a suspect and was treated as a witness. A young woman attending a party at the neighbouring house on Canyon Road, apologies for the incorrect saying, the night of Joanna's disappearance, remembered hearing two loud screams shortly after 9 p.m, coming from the direction of Joanna's flat. Another neighbour who lived behind Joanna's home said he heard a woman scream, "Help me," but could not determine the approximate time. On January 5th, Detective Inspector Jones said that his office had established over 1,000 lines of inquiry, and they were determined to bring Joanna's killers to justice. He also announced that one of Joanna's socks was missing and was not found at the crime scene or in her flat. Initially, on the 30th of December, Joanna's landlord, Christopher Jeffries, was arrested. He was bailed after 2 days and was released from bail on the 4th of March 2011 and was no longer a suspect. Due to the actions of newspapers, he was vilified in the media. He was seen as a suspect and public deemed him to be guilty. He won an undisclosed sum in liable damages for defamatory news articles published following his arrest and received a apology from Avon and Somerset Police for any distress caused. On the morning of the 20th of January 2011, police arrested 32-year-old architectural engineer Vincent Tabak, a next-door neighbour of Joanne's. The arrest was due to an anonymous tip from a female caller shortly after a televised appeal by Joanna's parents on Crime Watch. Tabak was formally charged with Joanna's murder on the 22nd of January 2011. Initially said he was being set up by corrupt police and the DNA evidence was fabrication. But he would later tell a prison chaplain, Peter Brothelin, that he killed her and intended to plead guilty on the 20th of February. On the 5th of May 2011, Crown Prosecution Service rejected his plea of manslaughter. The trial of Vincent Tabak began the 4th of October 2011 at the Crown Court at Bristol. He continued to deny murder. The prosecution outlined that Tabak strangled Joanna within minutes of her arrival on the 17th of December 2011. He had used significant force to kill her. Tabak overpowered her, pinning her to the floor by her wrists, and she suffered 43 separate injuries to her head, neck, and torso and arms during the struggle. The injuries included cuts, bruises, and a fractured nose. The struggle was lengthy. Her death would have been slow and painful. The jury was sent out to deliberate on the 26th of October and returned with a 10-2 majority verdict of guilty of murder. On the 28th of October 2011, he was jailed for life with a minimum term of 20 years. After the trial, it emerged that pornographic images of children had been found on Tabak's laptop. On the 2nd of March 2015, Tabak pleaded guilty of possessing more than 100 indecent images of children and was sentenced to 10 months in prison to run concurrently with his existing life of sentence of murder. Rest in peace to Joanna, and my condolences go out to her friends and family. This does go to show that we've got to be careful when we're talking about any such cases and about pointing the finger of the blame. Remember, truth over conspiracy, fact over fiction, always. What is being released at initial investigations may not always be what transpire. Thank you for getting this far. Please follow for day 5, and if desired, drop a like and a comment. See you tomorrow.